I take odd jobs because they don't come with meetings. No onboarding videos, no circle back, no polite emails where somebody says, per my last message, like they're filing a complaint with the universe. You get a text, you get an address, you do a thing, you get paid. That's the deal. Most of the time it's normal stuff people don't want to bother with. Moving a couch up 3 flights because their buddy bilayed. Hauling trash to a dump because their truck is in the shop. Sitting in a guy's driveway for an hour to make sure the tow company does. Hook his car again. Picking up a pallet of bottled water for a woman who swore she'd tip and then didn't. I don't ask why. Not because I'm brave, because the less you know, the less you carry. The only rule I keep for myself is simple. If it feels wrong, I leave. I broke that rule on February 14th because rent doesn't care about gut feelings. The text came in around noon. Unknown number, need a courier. 1 package, deliver today. $300 cash, reply yes for address. $300 for a delivery sounded like either a scam or something that involved a dog that would bite me. Normally, I'd ignore it. I've been staring at my bank app that morning, watching the numbers like they might get better if I stared long enough. They didn't. My landlord didn't do understanding. He did late fees. I typed back yes. The response popped in immediately like it had been waiting. Unknown number, Horizon Arms Apps, 1497 Kittredge Ave, top floor, Unit 12C, leave package at door, knock 3 times. Wait 10 seconds, leave, do not open package, do not enter unit, payment in envelope under lobby mailboxes. Horizon Arms, I knew the building even if I hadn't been inside it. Everyone in town knew it. Tall, ugly, brown brick apartment complex from the 70s, 12 stories, a block off the bus line. It had been temporarily closed for years after a fire, and a mess with code violations and squatters. The kind of place you only saw in the background of local news stories when they were talking about urban blight and a hazard to the community. I stared at the address long enough that my thumb went numb. I texted back, building S abandoned. How am I supposed to get in? Unknown number, side door, West Alley, code 314, use stairs, elevator disabled, 314. The code looked neat, too clean to be random. I thought about replying again, telling myself to ask who they were, demanding some kind of proof this wasn't going to end with me on the wrong side of a locked door. I did it anyway. Me, who is this? No response. I sat there on my couch, phone in my hand, listening to my refrigerator click on and off like it was making decisions. My place was quiet except for the neighbor's TV bleeding through the wall. There was a laugh track. Somebody was having a better day than me. I told myself it was probably nothing. Somebody had moved out and left keys and didn't want to deal with it. Somebody was using the building as storage. Somebody was pulling a Valentine's stunt and thought a creepy delivery would be cute. I checked the thread again. No new messages. $300. I put on boots. I grabbed my cheap work gloves because they were already by the door. I checked my pocket for my car keys and my wallet and the little folding knife I carry for boxes and nothing else. I considered bringing a flashlight, then told myself it was daytime and I wasn't going to be up there long. I brought my phone charger instead because that's the kind of priority your brain sets when you don't want to think about something else. Before I left, I called my friend Nolan. He's the guy I call when I want to hear someone say something obvious so I can pretend it was my idea. He answered on the 3rd ring. Yo, quick question, I said. You finally gonna pay me back? I'm thinking about taking a delivery job, I said, to Horizon Arms. He didn't talk for a second. The abandoned building. Yeah, I said. That's not a job, he said. That's a setup. It's $300 cash, I said. You just said it like that makes it safer, he said. You got an address, company name, no company, I admitted. Just a text, they say there's cash under the mailboxes. Nolan exhaled hard through his nose. Man, don't. I'm already halfway there mentally, I said, trying to keep it light. I'm serious, he said. If you go, at least do the dumb safety stuff. Text me the address, call me when you're done, and if your gut does anything besides, fine, you leave. I know, I said. Do you, he said, but if this ends with you on the news, I'm gonna be mad at you in the afterlife. Noted, I said. I hung up and sent him a text with the address and a quick line. If I'm not back in an hour, tell my landlord I tried. He responded, not funny, don't go. I didn't answer him. I stopped at a gas station and bought a bottle of water and a pack of gum I didn't want. The cashier looked at me and said, "You good?" like he could see something in my face. Yeah, I said and walked out. On the drive over, I kept catching myself looking at the rearview mirror too often. Nothing was behind me, it was just habit. I checked the time twice like it mattered. I checked my phone thread again like it would suddenly say, "Never mind, wrong guy." Kittredge Avenue was one of those streets where the buildings get taller and the trees get thinner. Horizon Arms sat back from the road behind a dead patch of grass and a chain-link fence that had been cut and retied in a dozen places. Somebody had hung a no trespassing sign on the fence at some point. Somebody else had shot it full of holes. I parked across the street because there wasn't anywhere to park close that didn't feel like I was volunteering my car to get broken into. I looked at the building through my windshield. It didn't look abandoned in the dramatic way. No boards over every window, no vines swallowing it whole. It looked abandoned in a quieter way, like a place that had been ignored and was fine staying that way. A few windows on the lower floors were broken. The glass was gone, jagged teeth left in the frames. There was graffiti on the first floor brick, thick and layered, tags over tags. The lobby doors were intact but chained. I could see straight through to the lobby. It was dim, even in daylight, no movement, no people. I held the package on my lap for a second and looked at it like it might explain itself. It was a shoebox-sized cardboard box, plain brown, sealed with clean tape. No return address, no label, just a black marker line on the top, 12C. It didn't smell like anything. It wasn't heavy. It didn't rattle when I moved it. It felt like someone had put a smaller box inside a bigger one so it didn't shift. That should have made me feel better. It didn't. I got out. The air was cold enough to sting my nose. There were a couple people down the street near a bus stop. A guy pushing a cart full of cans, traffic humming by. Normal life 10 yards away from a building that was. I crossed to the fence opening and stepped through. The grass crunched under my boots like it was dead on purpose. Near the front steps was a pile of old mail, yellowed envelopes and pizza coupons and someone's utility bill from years ago. Somebody had dumped it out and never bothered to pick it up. I went around the side into the west alley like the text said. The alley was narrow, lined with overflowing dumpsters from the neighboring buildings. It smelled like old grease and damp cardboard. The side of Horizon Arms had a metal door halfway down, painted gray. The paint was bubbled and chipped. Above it, a security light hung crooked, dead. There was a keypad mounted beside the door. Up close, I noticed something that should have clicked sooner. The keypad was newer than the door. Not brand new, but newer enough that the plastic hadn't yellowed. The mounting plate had fresh screw heads, silver against old paint, like it had been reinstalled recently. Somebody was maintaining at least this part of the building, even if the rest looked like it had been abandoned. I keyed in 314. The keypad beeped. The red light turned green. I stood there for a second with my hand on the handle, waiting for the gotcha, waiting for the door not to open, waiting for an alarm. Waiting for a voice through a speaker asking me what I was doing here. Nothing. The handle was cold. The door opened inward with a soft scrape, like it had been opened recently enough that the hinges still worked. The smell hit me first. Not rot, not sewage, not anything obvious. It smelled like stale air and old carpet and something faintly sweet underneath, like cheap air freshener used to cover something else years ago. It made my throat tighten. The hallway beyond the door was dim. There were no lights on. Daylight came in through the doorway behind me and a few broken windows further in, but it didn't reach far. I stepped inside and pulled the door closed behind me out of habit. It latched with a muted click. The air got colder without the outside air moving. I stood still and listened. Nothing moved. No dripping, no mice, no distant voices, no elevator cables groaning, no AC, no anything. Buildings always make noise, even empty ones. This one was just quieter than it should have been. I turned back to the door. There was a push bar on the inside and a keypad panel with a green light. If I had to leave, I could. I walked forward, keeping close to the wall. My boots scuffed dust off the floor. The carpet runner that used to line the hallway was gone, leaving bare concrete with dark stains where it had been. At the end was a stairwell door with an exit sign above it that wasn't lit. Next to it was a lobby entrance with cracked glass doors. I could see the lobby through it. Mailboxes lined one wall, metal doors bent and peeled back like somebody had forced them open with a crowbar. The front desk sat behind a pane of glass that was webbed with cracks. Papers lay on the floor, curled at the edges like they'd been damp once and dried out wrong. The envelope was supposed to be under the lobby mailboxes. I didn't want to cross that lobby. Still, part of me wanted to confirm the money existed before I climbed 12 flights. I pushed the lobby door open. It swung wide, too easy, and the sound echoed. My footsteps sounded loud in there. The lobby amplified everything like it wanted attention. I I walked to the mailboxes and crouched. The metal was cold. I slid my fingers under the bottom row. My fingertips brushed paper. I pulled out a white envelope, no name, just cash written in block letters. I opened it. 300 in crisp bills, folded clean, no joke money. No, got you. My stomach loosened a little, which annoyed me, like my body had been waiting for permission to trust this. I tucked the envelope into my jacket pocket and forced myself not to count it again. I didn't want to stand in that lobby 1 second longer than I had to. The stairwell door was heavy metal, painted the same gray as the side door. I pushed it open. The stairwell smelled like concrete and old smoke. The sound of my breathing got trapped in it, bouncing back at me. There were steps going up and down. I didn't need down. I started up. The first few flights weren't bad. My legs warmed up. The box didn't weigh much, but holding it made my arms feel occupied, like I couldn't react fast if I needed to. I shifted it under one arm so my other hand was free. On the second floor landing, I glanced through the wired glass window in the hallway door without thinking. The hallway beyond was darker than the one I'd entered from. Some apartment doors were open, not wide, but cracked, like someone had pushed them and left them like that. The shadows inside those units looked dense, packed into corners. I kept climbing. By the fourth floor, my breathing was louder. The stairwell was the same all the way up. Gray walls, chipped paint, rust stains under the handrail brackets. On one landing, someone had spray-painted a smiley face with X's for eyes. On the sixth, there were scratch marks on the inside of the stairwell door at about chest height. Deep grooves threw paint into metal. It looked like someone had raked it with something hard. I slowed down, staring at it. Maybe a tool. Maybe someone tried to pry it open. Maybe kids. It didn't match kids clean. I kept climbing anyway. The higher I went, the colder it got. Not dramatically, but enough that my fingertips started to feel stiff even through the gloves. My sweat cooled fast. Around the 9th floor landing, I started noticing something else. A faint sound that didn't match my steps. A low tone, like someone humming far away. It wasn't clear enough to recognize a tune, just a steady hum that rose and fell. I stopped on the landing and held my breath. The humming continued. It didn't sound like it was echoing up the stairwell from below. It sounded level, like it was on one of the floors behind a door. Then the humming stopped all at once. The silence after it was worse. I started moving again, faster now, because I didn't like standing still when something might be listening. By the time I reached the 12th floor, my thighs were burning and my shirt was damp under my jacket. The stairwell door to the hallway had a little number plate on it, 12. Someone had scratched it with something sharp. I pushed the door open. The hallway outside was darker than the floors below. There were no broken windows on this floor that I could see, which meant no daylight. The only light came from the stairwell behind me, and it didn't reach far. The air smelled different up here. Not just stale, there was something like wet metal. I didn't move at first. I let my eyes adjust. The hall was long and straight, carpeted in a dirty, flattened runner that still clung to the floor. Apartment doors lined both sides. Most were closed. A couple were open a few inches. At the far end, a red exit sign glowed faintly above another stairwell door, but the light was weak, like it was running on a dying backup battery. Unit numbers were on plaques next to each door. 12A. 12B, 12C was on the left side about halfway down. I started walking. My footsteps were muffled by the carpet. Quiet footsteps make it feel like you're sneaking even when you're not trying to. Halfway down the hall, the smell got stronger. I passed a door with the plaque missing. The door itself had a strip of duct tape across the peephole. Another had something dark smeared around the handle, dried and flaky. My stomach tightened again. I tried swallowing and felt my throat stick. I reached 12C. The door looked newer than the others. Not brand new, but less worn. The peephole didn't have tape. The paint wasn't chipped as bad. There was a clean strip of masking tape along the bottom edge, like someone had sealed it at some point, then peeled it and replaced it, then replaced it again. No sounds from inside, no TV. No movement. I stepped up to it. The box felt suddenly heavier in my hands, not because it weighed more, but because it had become the entire reason I was there. I set it down in front of the door, right under the peephole. I stood up. My fingers were cold. My heart was thumping hard enough I could feel it in my jaw. The text said, "Knock 3 times. Wait 10 seconds, leave." I knocked. 3 firm knocks with my knuckles, not too loud. I waited. 1, 2, 3. At around 5 seconds, I heard something, not from inside the unit. From down the hall at the far end past the dim exit sign. A sound like a pig squealing, not a vague animal noise. The specific, ugly sound of a pig when it's scared or hurt. High wet panicked with a breathy wheeze under it. My whole body went still. The squeal cut off abruptly, like someone had covered an animal's mouth. Silence again. I kept my eyes on 12C's door for another second, like it might open and explain everything. It didn't. The 10 seconds were up. I should have left. Instead, I did what people do when they hear something wrong in an empty place. I looked down the hallway. At first, I didn't see anything, just darkness and closed doors and that weak red exit sign. Then at the far end movement, someone stepped into view from around a corner near the exit stairwell. A man, at least it was shaped like a man. He was tall and thin, hoodie, jeans, work boots. His posture was relaxed, like he was out for a walk. His head was tilted slightly, like he was listening to something I couldn't hear. Then he took another step into the weak light. He was wearing a pig mask, not a cheap Halloween one. It covered his whole face. Pinkish rubber, snout, little ears, glossy black eye holes that didn't show anything behind them. The kind of mask that tries too hard to be realistic, which makes it worse. I stared at him and my brain tried to make it less real. Maybe it's a prank, maybe it's a squatter. Then I remembered the pig squeal. The man in the pig mask lifted his head a little, like he'd finally noticed me. He didn't rush, he didn't shout. He just started walking toward me at an even pace. And he was humming softly, like someone humming to themselves while they cooked dinner. I backed up one step. He kept walking. I backed up again. My shoulder brushed 12C's door. The box was on the floor between us like an offering. The pig-masked man didn't look at it, didn't even glance down. He kept coming, humming. My mouth went dry. My hands were cold inside my gloves. I tried to make my voice do something useful. "Hey," I called loud enough to fill the hall. "Wrong floor, man." No response. The humming continued. He took another step. I snapped out of the freeze and turned to run back toward the stairwell. The hallway behind me was darker now than it had been when I entered. I could still see the stairwell door at the far end, but it felt farther away than it should have. The carpet grabbed at my boots. I sprinted. My breathing got loud fast. Behind me, the humming didn't get louder the way footsteps would. It stayed steady, like he wasn't running, like he didn't need to. That made my skin crawl. I reached the spot where the hallway widened slightly near a maintenance closet. My foot hit something low, something I didn't see in the dark, a tight, sudden pull. The world yanked sideways. I went down hard, my hands shot out to catch myself, palms slamming into the carpet. My knee hit next, a sharp jolt. Then pain exploded in my left leg. Not a clean pain, not a simple cut. It felt like my leg got grabbed and dragged through a metal fence. I screamed. I couldn't stop it. I twisted, trying to see what I'd hit, and my left leg moved wrong. Not broken, but pulled tight against something. Barbed wire. A line of barbed wire strung low across the hallway, anchored to a door handle on one side and a pipe on the other. It was stretched taut like a trip line. The barbs weren't small, thick, twisted points, the kind used on fences. When I'd hit it at full speed, it hadn't just tripped me. It had caught my leg and ripped. My jeans were shredded from mid-shin up toward my knee. Underneath, my skin was open in jagged lines. Blood was already soaking through, dark and fast. I could see pale tissue under torn skin. The pain hit in waves that made my stomach flip and my vision pulse. I grabbed the wire with both hands without thinking, trying to pull it away. The barbs bit my gloves. The wire didn't budge. I yanked again, harder. Pain lanced up my leg so sharp my vision went gray for a second. I heard the humming, closer now. I twisted my head toward the darkness behind me. The pig-masked man rounded the corner at the far end of the hallway like he was strolling around a grocery aisle, humming the whole time. When he saw me on the floor, caught in the wire, he didn't react like a normal person would. No surprise, no excitement. He just stopped and tilted his head. The humming continued. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely grip the wire anymore. My throat tasted like metal. "Hey," I yelled, voice cracking. "Stay back." He took another step. I scrambled, dragging myself backward with my hands, trying to pull my leg toward me. The wire held. I could feel warm blood running down into my boot, pooling at my heel. He got within maybe 20 feet. I could see the texture of the mask now, small cracks in the rubber, grime in the creases around the snout. The black eye holes were empty, no eyes visible behind them. Just darkness. The humming stopped. He lifted one hand slow, like he was about to wave. Then he put his hand down again, like he'd changed his mind. I didn't wait to see what he'd do next. I grabbed the barbed wire with both hands again, braced my right foot against the carpet, and yanked with everything I had. The wire snapped free from whatever it was tied to on the right side. The sudden release made me jerk backward, and the wire ripped across my left leg again as it went slack. I screamed so loud it hurt my own ears, but my leg was free. I tried to stand and my left leg buckled immediately. It wasn't just pain, it was the leg not wanting to take weight. My boot felt wet inside. I crawled. Hands and knees dragging my left leg behind me like it belonged to someone else. The pig-masked man started walking again, not fast, not slow, just steady. His boots made soft sounds on the carpet. I reached the stairwell door at the end of the hall like it was a finish line. My fingers fumbled for the push bar. It was cold and smooth. I shoved it. The door didn't open. For a split second, my brain refused it. I shoved again, harder, still nothing. This wasn't a normal, locked feeling. It felt like the door was physically jammed, like something had wedged it from the other side. And then I saw the detail I'd missed in the dark. The bottom edge of the door had a strip of torn carpet bunched up under it, jammed tight. The old runner in the hallway was frayed. Someone could have kicked a wad of it under the door in seconds and turned it into a wedge. The pig-masked man was closer now, 15 feet, 10. He started humming again, not the same tune. A different little pattern, like he was picking something at random. My hands slapped around on the floor for anything solid. My fingers hit something metal near the baseboard, a broken piece of pipe, maybe from a railing bracket. I grabbed it and hooked it down near the bottom edge of the door where the carpet wad was jammed. I pried. The carpet tore with a rough, ripping sound. The humming stopped. The pig-masked man leaned forward slightly, like that sound mattered to him. I pried again, harder. The wad pulled free enough that the door shifted a fraction. I could feel it give, a tiny movement that said it wasn't locked, just stuck. I dropped the pipe and shoved with both hands. The door opened. Cold stairwell air rushed out, smelling like concrete and old smoke. I hauled myself through the doorway, dragging my left leg over the threshold. The door started to swing shut behind me, heavy on its hinges. I looked back one last time as it closed. The pig-masked man didn't rush to stop it. He didn't grab the door. He stood in the hallway's dim light, perfectly still. As the gap narrowed, he lifted something up in front of his chest. A sign, white poster board, thick black letters. BMY Valentine, and in the corner a small red heart like a kid would draw on a card. For a second I saw his hand holding it. Bare pale skin, clean nails, normal hand, then the door shut. The latch caught, the sign vanished, the hallway vanished. I sat on the concrete landing inside the stairwell, panting like I'd been running for miles. My left leg was a mess. Blood pooled on the step under my calf and ran in a thin line down toward the lower landing. My phone felt slick in my hand when I pulled it out, like sweat or blood had gotten on it. I hit 911. A calm voice answered, 911, what's your emergency? I need help, I said. My voice sounded wrong, too thin. I'm in Horizon Arms Apartments, the abandoned building on Kittredge. I'm injured. There was a brief pause. Sir, can you confirm the address? 1497 Kittredge, I said. West side. I got in through the alley door. Please, I need an ambulance. My leg cut bad. Okay, she said, calm and steady. Stay on the line with me. Are you in immediate danger right now? There was someone in there, I said, a man. Wearing a pig mask. Where is he now? I don't know, I said. I'm in the stairwell, 12th floor. Listen to me, she said. Can you secure the stairwell door? Is there a lock on your side? I looked at the door. It had a little thumb-turned deadbolt. My hand shook as I reached up and turned it. It clicked into place. Yes, I said. Locked? Good, she said. Do not go back into the hallway. I need you to apply pressure to the wound. Do you have anything you can use? A shirt, a jacket? My jacket, I said. Okay. Use it, she said. Firm pressure. Tell me your name. I gave it, my full name, because suddenly I wanted to be very real and very traceable. She asked the usual things, my age, allergies. Medications, if I could wiggle my toes. I did, because if I couldn't, that meant something worse than pain. I took my jacket off with clumsy hands and pressed it against my leg. The moment the fabric touched the torn skin, I made a sound I didn't mean to make. The dispatcher stayed calm like she'd heard it 1,000 times. Keep that pressure, she said. Help is on the way. Stay with me. Minutes didn't feel like minutes. They felt like long pieces of time I had to drag myself through. Every now and then I thought I heard something on the other side of the stairwell door. A scrape, a soft thump. Then it would stop and I'd be left listening to my own breathing. Eventually I heard voices below me in the stairwell, boots on steps, radios. Sir, the dispatcher said, call out so they can locate you. Up here, I yelled. 12th floor, a voice echoed back up, muffled but real. Police, stay where you are, we're coming up. Relief hit me so hard my eyes stung. 2 officers came up first, flashlights cutting clean beams through the dim. One had his hand on his belt like he was ready to draw. The other kept his light moving, methodical. "Hey," the closer one said when he saw me, his voice softened slightly. "You called?" "Yeah," I said. "That's me." He knelt a few feet away, angled his light down at my leg and swore under his breath. His partner moved to the stairwell door and tested it. "Locked from inside," he said. "I locked it," I told them. "He was out there." "Who?" the kneeling officer asked. "A man," I said. "Pig mask." They exchanged a look, quick and professional. The paramedics arrived right behind them. A woman introduced herself as Marcy, calm face, steady hands. "Hey," she said, "we're going to take care of you. Keep looking at me. Don't look down unless you have to." They wrapped my leg with pressure bandages. It hurt in a blunt, deep way that made me want to shove their hands away, but I didn't. I could feel the bleeding slow under the pressure. They got me onto a stretcher and started carrying me down. By the time we reached the lobby, daylight poured in through the forced front doors. More officers were there now, radios, flashlights. A couple of them had gloves on like they were already anticipating evidence. They rolled me out onto the sidewalk. Cold air hit my face. Street sounds hit my ears, cars, a dog barking somewhere, somebody's music thumping from a passing car. Normal, I started shaking anyway. Marcy climbed into the ambulance with me and said, "We're going to the AR. You're going to need stitches, maybe staples. You're going to be okay." One of the officers leaned into the open doors and asked, "Sir, before you go, how'd you get in?" "Side door," I said. "Keypad, West Alley, code 314. He nodded. "And you said payment was under the lobby mailboxes?" "Yes," I said. "Do you still have the cash?" I realized then that the envelope was still in my jacket pocket. "Yes," I said. "Take it." "I don't want it," he nodded. "We'll collect it." At the hospital, they cleaned and stitched and stapled until my leg looked like it had been put back together by someone who didn't have time to make it pretty. A doctor said words like deep lacerations and risk of infection, and you're lucky it didn't hit the artery. He asked me if I'd had a tetanus shot recently. I told him I didn't remember. He gave me one anyway. Later, a detective came in plain clothes, tired eyes, notebook in hand. She took my statement. I got a case number. She told me flat out not to reply if the number contacted me again and to call her directly. I told her everything, the texts, the code, the lobby envelope, the humming, the delivery procedure. The squeal, the pig mask, the barbed wire, the sign. When I finished, she asked, "Do you have the text thread?" "Yes," I said, "on my phone." I handed it over. She scrolled. Her eyes moved fast. Then she frowned. She held the screen toward me. The thread was still there, but it didn't look the way it had in my car. Instead of a normal number, it showed a generic sender label, like one of those burner text apps that routes messages through random IDs. And instead of the conversation, there was a blank screen with a single line at the top. Conversation expired, like the app had auto-deleted the history. "I'm not making this up," I said. There was cash under the mailboxes. There was barbed wire. There was blood. I'm sitting here with staples in my leg. She nodded. "We recovered an envelope," she said. "We recovered cash." "No usable prints. You went up?" I asked. "We cleared the building," she said. "We did not locate anyone matching your description." "We did find blood on the 12th floor carpet consistent with your injury." "And the wire?" I asked. "No wire on scene when officers reached that floor," she said. "And the package?" I asked. "We did not locate a package outside 12C, she said. "I set it down," I said. "I knocked, I saw it there." "I understand," she said in that careful voice. "Was 12C locked?" I asked. 12C's door was open, she said. I stared at the ceiling tiles until my eyes burned. She flipped another page. "There's a service corridor on that floor," she said. "Maintenance access. It runs behind the units. Our officers found a panel door at the end of the hall that leads into it." My stomach tightened. "The roof hatch was unlatched," she said. "Padlock missing. Fresh scuff marks on the ladder rungs. If he wanted to move without using the main hallways or get off that floor fast, he could." "So you're saying he got away?" I said. "I'm saying the building gives someone a lot of hiding places," she said. "No cameras inside, half the exterior coverage is dead, and the corridor isn't on the old plans we could pull. We're doing what we can." She left her card on my tray and told me again, "Don't engage, don't go back, don't try to be a hero." I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I drifted, I heard humming, soft and steady, like a tune you can't place but can't shake either. The next morning, my phone buzzed. A notification banner flashed at the top of my screen. Not a full message, just the little preview you get when something comes in. "Unknown, thank you for delivering." I snatched the phone so fast I almost dropped it. When I opened my messages, there was nothing new, no thread, no sender, nothing in my inbox. Like the preview had popped up and the message never fully came through, like the app tried to load it and failed. My hands started shaking again, harder this time. I didn't reply, I didn't even type. I called the detective's number, it rang. When she answered, I said, "It tried to message me again, I saw the preview." "What did it say?" she asked. I swallowed. "Thank you for delivering." There was a pause, and I heard her breathing on the other end, steady but tight. "Okay," she said. "Don't touch anything else on your phone, don't delete anything. Screenshot your notification history if you can. I'm going to send someone by." "I can't screenshot it," I said, voice shaking. "It's gone." "All right," she said. "Stay where you are." After I hung up, I stared at my blank screen until my eyes hurt. Outside my window, the world kept going. Cars passed, people walked, somebody laughed. And somewhere in a building that was supposed to be empty, somebody had set up a keypad that still worked, a hallway that could be jammed from the other side. A service corridor that didn't show up on the old plans, and a way to make sure the only proof I ever got came and went in a split-second banner at the top of my phone.